global markets reporter at Nasdaq, coming to you live from New York City. We are at the Empire Fintech Conference. Joining us to kick off our coverage, we have Shamir. He is the co-founder and CEO of Sila. We're going to talk about hotspots for the fintech entrepreneurs in the U.S. and globally. Shamir, it is great to have you with us. It is our first live in-person interview since January 2020, so this is certainly a special segment. Welcome to Trade Talks. And let's start with the basics. Fintech, where did it come from? Where are we today? Where's it going?
Fintech's been around for a while. Really, I mean, the first technology usage in banks started in like the 60s. Really, this wave of fintech started probably around about 2010, 11. After the great financial crisis, I co-founded an online neobank called Simple. It was one of the first ones. And that created this wave of neobanks, payment platforms, and this whole explosive growth in fintech. And really, like, the entire banking and financial services industry, gigantic behemoth, like tens of trillions in revenue globally, all of that is going to be revolutionized by modern technology, and that's what fintech is enabling, that's what fintech is bringing into the space.
You know, it's really interesting. You talk about the 2010-2011 timeframe, and of course that aligns with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and so forth. What about the intersection of banking services, fintech, cryptocurrency?
As a lot of people have historically thought of those things as like three different worlds, right? Like there's banks, then there's fintechs, and then there's crypto. And I really think, and I've always thought that those are really all the same, right? It's just the same set of problems for businesses and individuals trying to move money, trying to solve their problems, build wealth, increase their financial health. And 40 years ago, you worked with a bank because there was nothing else. Today, or maybe 10 years ago, you might have worked with a fintech because those are arguably way better than the traditional banks. But now crypto comes along and tries to solve some of those same problems with a different set of technology tools, right? One of the funniest things I've heard of in the last few weeks is this is the DeFi mullet, which is really fintech in the front and crypto in the back. And I'm like, it's a lot of companies out there are now like, hey, we need to solve these problems. We need to build beautiful apps for consumers and businesses, which are like fintech apps, right? Like the PayPals or the TransferWises of the world. But then on the back end, we can take advantage of a lot of crypto technology and blockchain to sort of do things that in a global way that just was unimaginable a decade ago. And customers and consumers don't care. For them, it's just, does it work for me? Does it solve my problem? If so, I use it.
You know, it's really interesting that you say that, because one of the themes I've been hearing about is it's no longer banks telling you this is the product that you need. It's fintech companies listening to consumers and giving them what they want, right? So what's your best advice for the next generation of fintech founders?
That is so true, Jill. I mean, I feel like I've spent my entire life listening to bankers saying, hey, we have this product called a checking account or XYZ loan or whatever, and we need to sell it to customers, and if customers don't know how to use it, we need to educate them, right? And I'm like, you don't hear this in any other industry, right? Like Google doesn't educate its customers on how to use Google. You just use Google and it's intuitive because Google has learned how humans think, and they've built the product back from that, right? And I think that's the best thing that any innovator or process spectrum can do today, is like truly understand what your customers' problems are and then solve those with solutions that are in the moment and intuitive, right? Like your financial services should be like turning on a tap. You don't think about turning off a tap, you don't need training on that. It's just twist and it works, right? That's how everything should be, whether it's lending, whether it's savings, whether it's investment, whether it's anything payments and money related. That's definitely not true in the world of banking. It's a lot more true in fintech and crypto.
Right, and let's wrap up with a two-parter here. Where are you seeing the hotspots in the U.S. and globally, and how come VC isn't as involved in fintech as it might be in other tech sectors?
So the hotspots globally, I'd say they change, but there's still a huge amount of innovation happening in just the payment space, right? So whether it's e-commerce, still growing massively. Look at companies like PayPal and Stripe and so many others, and still, if you look at all of global payments, everybody from like PayPal to Sila combined is maybe 1% market share. So that's how early we are in this journey. I actually think we're going from 1% to 10% in the next decade.
Wow.
That's how big the industry is, right? So that's payments. But I also see like a huge amount of change happening in like wealth management, investment. That's where crypto is really changing things up. At the moment, everybody, whether it's PayPal or Robinhood, a lot of smaller companies are adding in crypto payments. We're going to see the first Bitcoin ETF here approved by the SEC very soon. And I think one sort of underinvested sector is just insurtech. Look at property and casualty insurance or life insurance. It's so massive, such a core problem for individuals and businesses. And there, I think the fintech market share is not even 1%, in fact, like 0.1%. So there's a huge amount of growth.
Yeah, definitely. And just to wrap up again, Silicon Valley really hasn't been the dominant force in fostering fintech companies versus other tech verticals. Why do you think that is?
I think the Silicon Valley just didn't understand fintech at that rate. But that's changing, and that's changing very rapidly. You talk to any large or small VC fund, everybody has at least one fintech partner, and most of them have dedicated sub funds which are fintech. So just this week, I think we've seen 4 or 5 billion of fintech funding announced, and we're sitting halfway through the week. So still more to come, and so it is just taking over. In the last quarter, I think 40% of VC investment dollars was into fintech. So it is, the Silicon Valley has woken up, they realize how big it is, and they're pumping money into it. And there's a massive boom happening, there'll be a bust at some point as well. But kind of the long-term trend is just, technology is going to revolutionize the entire sector.
Especially with us being flush in capital, that's for sure. Shamir, thanks so much for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandirno, Global Market Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thank you, guys.